The Golden Globes nominees are in for 2024, and we're going to take a look at all the animated films up for awards this year. There's some pretty heavy hitters here, but also one potential major snub. All the details right here. As award season is upon us, the Golden Globe Foundation has released its nominations for the 2025 Golden Globes, which will celebrate films released in the 2024 calendar year on January 5, 2025. Up for the Best Motion Picture Animated Award this year are Flow from Sideshow Janus Films, Inside Out 2 from Pixar and Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, Memoir of a Snail from IFC Films, Moana 2 from Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul from Aardman and Netflix, and The Wild Robot from DreamWorks and Universal Pictures. This is a pretty strong set of nominations, though the inclusion of Moana 2 seems a little out of left field considering the film's rather tepid response from film critics. It's probably only here because it's Disney. Flow is also a pretty big surprise given the smaller nature of the film, but it has been met with some pretty high acclaim. Notably, The Wild Robot has also picked up nominees in 3 other categories, including Best Score Motion Picture, Best Song Motion Picture, and Cinematic and Box Office Achievement. These 4 nominations make The Wild Robot the clear frontrunner for this year's animation award, and also makes it the most nominated animated film of all time at the Globes, which is a pretty sizable achievement. Inside Out 2 is the only other animated film this year to get an additional nomination, also finding itself nominated for Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, which was introduced this year and recognises the year's most acclaimed, highest earning and or most viewed films that have garnered extensive global audience support and attained cinematic excellence, with Inside Out 2 swiftly becoming the most successful animated film of all time at the box office. The inclusion here is a no-brainer, and while it's going to have some staunch competition amongst the likes of Deadpool and Wolverine and Wicked, seeing it recognised here alongside The Wild Robot is a really nice nod for animation. Also have to give a shout out to Aussie feature Memoir of a Snail from Harvey Crumpet Academy Award winner Adam Elliott. While it's unlikely this one will pick up the win, it's always great to see some Australian representation at the big Hollywood awards ceremonies. I went to school with a kid who always claimed that Adam Elliott was his uncle, though he could never provide any proof. I could never figure out whether he was lying or not. It kind of seems like a weird thing to lie about. Notably, one of this year's most hyped animated films, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, didn't pick up any nominations. It does seem that the movie would have been eligible for the award, given that eligibility criteria states that motion pictures must be available for public exhibition in commercial motion picture theatres or on a recognised platform, pay-per-view cable channel, or pay-per-view digital delivery service in any of the greater metropolitan areas for a minimum 7-day consecutive period, beginning prior to 11:59 PM local time on December 31 of the qualifying year. While the film has only seen a festival premiere domestically and won't open widely until February 2025, it will be getting a limited engagement at the NoHo 7 in LA beginning December 13, 2024, specifically to make Academy Awards eligibility, which is pretty similar to that of the Globes. It does seem, however, that the film could be eligible for next year's awards if Ketchup Entertainment wants to stretch the rules a tad and consider its release window the 2025 wide release, as eligibility also states motion pictures made available to Golden Globe voters in a prior year but that were not deemed released during such year must be made available again to Golden Globes voters in the year of the motion picture's release. We don't know if the film was made available to Golden Globes voters. We don't even know if Ketchup were interested in lobbying the film for the Golden Globes, as these things cost money, and we know Ketchup's probably going to be putting all their eggs in the Academy Awards basket. All in all, this again is a pretty strong set of nominations, and while The Wild Robot appears to be the frontrunner, it really could go any way. Also worth noting that while the Golden Globes are usually considered vastly less prestigious than the Oscars, let's be honest, they're often considered the joke awards.
Comedy?
Their nominations are often indicative of what we can expect to see at the Academy Awards. We'll have nominations for that announced on January 17, 2025, and when they are, I'll be right here with all the news as it drops in. And at that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this year's Golden Globes nominations and which film or films have your backing. As always, join the conversation down below.